Amigos, amigas, it's another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show, an all-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, Mexican soccer. Today we have a wonderful, wonderful show for you guys. I have a full house, and it's going to be great. We'll talk all about the Mexican national team. No Liga MX, no Mexicans abroad, although they're included. It's just a national team. These are my favorite types of show because we might have to extend it for 2-3 hours. Who knows? Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Just kidding. These guys have a lot to do. Before we begin, I'd like to say that as you can see, we have a full house. But I want to cut to Adriana, who is currently driving right now.
Yes, one more time.
That's commitment right there.
Adriana wanted to be on the show, and she is driving. So just want to FYI, Adriana, can you use a little honk?
No, this is just
So she's on. She's able to join us. It's cool. So we'll be good.
People are staring now. They're like, "Why are you honking?"
They're like, no, it's cool. It's for the Mexican Soccer Show. Just tell them that. Sure, yeah.
I'm gonna show them my phone, and I'll be. I'm podcasting. Can't you see?
Dun, 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 dun. All right, and then also we also have Normally, who is usually producing our show, even though she did it. She is in Santa Clara, San Jose. Santa Clara, where are you at? What?
Technically, I'm in Sunnyvale, wherever that is.
In Sunnyvale.
It's all the same.
Is it sunny?
And
I don't know. Lisa was going to make a snide remark about how technically Californians think nothing is the same. So I beat him to it.
Oh, wow.
So she's usually definitely welcome Amy. And you know what, Amy, since you're on the show and I'm with you on the show, you normally have me read out the question. Why don't you ask the question today? What's the question of the night for the readers and for Cesar?
Oh God, I don't have the rundown. I don't have the rundown.
Oh, wow.
What is the rundown? Hold on.
Think of the question, and we'll get there.
I got it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so it's actually two questions. The big questions of the night. Now that you've seen how Mexico did against Chile, are you seeing Tata's influence on the team? What did or didn't you like about that first match?
Ooh, all right. And we'll start Mr. Cesar Hernandez there in the San Diego, Tijuana area.
Oh, well.
Let's hear it. Cesar, how are you?
Doing well, Wi-Fi problems, so that's why we're starting late, because everyone was ready to go except me, and then we had some Wi-Fi problems, so we'll see if how long I last here. Hopefully I last more than a few minutes, but yeah, I mean, as for Mexico, did we see that influence? I think we saw a little bit of that in that first match. I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to really see that truth, that influence of there. I mean, I guess we saw a little bit of that 4-3-3, and that's what he said that he likes, at least formation-wise. But what did I like? The simple answer is goals. I mean, just it's a very oversimplified answer there, but just when you think about the confidence for players, confidence for fans, especially for someone like Tata who's this early into his tenure, something like that, especially that really excites fans, is so crucial. What I disliked, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I wrote about this a little bit, but it feels like some of the passing was a little off. Maybe that had something to do with the fact that Guardado had an off game and he's such a crucial player for Mexico. But I feel like in the first half, something was a little weird with the chemistry there from Mexico. But I mean, overall, I was pretty happy, other than the puddles that were at SDCCU Stadium, and like my shoes were wet like for most of the match, covering the game over there in San Diego.
I think it was just your side, though.
Yeah, you guys were talking about that. Yeah,
because I walked towards you and I was like, "Oh, Cesar's in a river,
in a lake."
Yeah,
I was actually in a boat during the game.
Oh, okay.
All right, from Dallas, Texas. There, Cadi's there with us here. You said yeehaw.
Yeehaw, because apparently that's a stereotype, and I do have a pair of cowboy boots, so check that off.
Are they cowboy or like vaquera?
They're like vaquera ones. They're nice though. They're nice. They're not
like
the big pointy ones.
The big pointy,
no.
pointy ones that were good. I can make it. Cadi joined us from Dallas. Loved your take. To hear your take, answering some questions. Same question to you. Could you see Tata's influence? What did you like? What did you like at the Chile match? Mexico winning 3-1.
I think it's really early to see an influence because it's just one game and it's a friendly. Mm-hmm. But I did see a better second half. I think the second half was just more composed. I think they kind of broke down first half, and it was kind of weird. It was a very physical half, so we saw a lot of like players encountering, with other players, and I mean, we ended up getting more yellows, which doesn't make sense to me. But it was a very tough half. Second half better. I think I saw more, maybe like halftime. Tata gave him a pep talk, and it definitely saw on the field. And like Cesar said, the goals kept coming in, and it was kind of like they were on a hype. And the counterattacking was great from all these players. What I didn't like was Shaka starting, and I know he's probably got a lot of like poor, on and on feedback, but it was just very disappointing. Why? Because on that wing, you can have a player like Layun starting and taking advantage of all the space that he had, going towards that. And Shaka just wasted it. There was no effectiveness in what he did. It was just a poor play from him. So other than that, I'm very happy, very excited, but it's too soon to determine. So I think the players are very happy with a coach like that. I think maybe throughout the days they've been very like, okay, so he has a plan, it's kind of the start of something new. So, and probably Pizarro was my favorite in the game. Loved him. And I feel he felt the confidence that gave him. So
we're going to talk a little more about each player, really dig deep into obviously formations, kind of go in and how we all felt like that. And there's definitely a lot of surprises, but it's gonna be very fun. I'll go to you, Adriana, if you are able to. There, I know you're driving.
I parked already. I'm so happy.
And maybe not. I guess the question is, do we see that as influence? But I'll twist a little around to you, Adriana, because the whole question in the last 3 days, and everyone's kind of saying, the cambios and rotaciones. But did you feel like
the R word?
You feel like there's a difference already that you're seeing, and this is, I guess, why Tata's hands with the team, but at least different than prior games. What did you like and what did you like? So go ahead.
Actually, it's more of what's happening outside of the, because I think it'll take a while for us to actually see a different style with the players on the field. But I'm really liking what I see off the field. I like the discipline, despite all this.
Get married?
Everything that's been mentioned regarding Tecatito. Chicharito getting married was also something they covered today during the press conference. But I like that he's that disciplined, because it's something I really think the national team needs. It's something that I think Néstor de la Torre, during his time when he was in the Dirección de Selecciones Nacionales, he tried to implement, and he was just fired because the players weren't, they just didn't consider it the best thing for them. They just weren't, they didn't agree with the ways that he wanted to place discipline on the team. And now Martino is doing it. So I think that it's going to be a lot more difficult for the players to try to confront the coach's discipline, unlike what happened with Néstor de la Torre. So I like that. He was asked about Chicharito, and he said, okay, yeah, he was given 2 hours permission. He had to go get married, and someone from the federation had to go with him, and that was it. And as long as it doesn't intervene with something, with practice or something, yeah, I know, right? As long as it doesn't intervene with a practice or a game or anything, okay. But it's not like I'm going to be giving players permission to leave early just to go back to their club anyway. So I like that we know, or apparently we know who is going to play tomorrow, who's going to be in the starting lineup, and if some players aren't considered, the team anyway. So I like that style already.
Nice. All right. I think you're kind of in and out, but we kind of got most of that. And what you're saying is, obviously like the discipline that's he already seen. And yeah, I think we're looking at that. Amy, last but not least, we get to see the game a little differently when we're not watching it from TV. We're live. Specifically to that, since, obviously Cesar was there also. Could you say that you saw maybe Tata's hands or Tata's influence or a new coach or a different type? And then what did you like and what you didn't like?
I know that it's kind of still early. I mean, it's just one game, but I felt about watching them the way I felt. Nobody get mad. The way I felt watching the LA Galaxy now that they're under Schelotto with their first game, it's too early to tell, but they looked cleaner. And maybe not the first half, more the second half, but they just seemed to look cleaner in a sense, especially in the defense. I know that it was still shaky. They had their moments. Ochoa made saves in the first half that probably, if it wasn't him, they probably would have been down a couple goals. But when it finally came down to the second half, I thought they looked cleaner. I thought they were clearing the ball way better. And that's basically what I took out of it. I mean, it's still early. There's still a lot of time to be done. There's still a lot of maybe disappointments to come, but for the time being, I thought it was a good thing.
Yeah, especially that second half too, where like it was clear that some players out there were trying to impress Tata, and it made sense. Someone especially, I mean, if there was one player, I mean, Kari already talked about him, but Pizarro definitely looked like he wanted to impress Tata a lot. Charlie Rodriguez definitely looked like he wanted to impress Tata a lot. So I think maybe that's why you saw a little bit of that in that second half, especially after, I don't know, first half, which really wasn't. To be honest, it wasn't that thrilling, like Kari talked about too. It was a little, it got a little scrappy, it got a little heated, but I think that's something that you have to give a lot of credit to the players for, especially, like I said, just like Pizarro. I was just extremely impressed with him up there playing for Mexico, because I don't know, with Pizarro, I mean, I did some of the player ratings for ESPN, and I think he was my best player of the match, but I don't know. Even before the World Cup, when he didn't make it to the final roster, I was like, I wasn't too bothered about it. I didn't think he would be that crucial of a player, but I think for anybody who really doubted his abilities, and not saying that I doubted his abilities, I just didn't think that he could be that crucial for Mexico. I think he proved last night that he is capable of being a potential game changer for El So I think you got to give a lot of credit to Pizarro for that.
Well, good. Well, we'll jump into the game. Saying hi to everybody on the chat. So a lot of people are
guys.
chatting.
I told you not to get mad. That's my comparison.
And people are mad.
And technically, okay, Francisco, Mexican soccer show. We have Mexican players on LAFC and LA. Look, Francisco.
You don't have to defend your.
There are more Mexican players in the starting 11 for the Galaxy than Chile.
All right, let's jump in really quick. I want to just kind of go back and take us through last week, which is there's so much information that came out after we were on the Mexican Soccer Show, and I would definitely want your take on it. Just all the things that happened before the game. It was kind of a crazy week with Tata Martino, the news of Tecatito, of him first not going with the team. Well, first he talked to Tata Martino, said, hey, I'm injured. I still would like you to come. Then he said, okay. Then Tecatito 3 hours later said, you know what? It's best if I don't. Then Tata got really mad on Monday or Tuesday and said, not really mad, but I mean, he came out saying, hey, you know, this guy's been playing this, all of a sudden they tell us they don't give us communication. And the word consequences came out of him saying, hey, repercussions. I'm sorry. There's going to be repercussions because of it. Obviously, the media, we kind of took it. And in fact, I was kind of surprised that he would be that bold to say, hey, you know, I really needed you here, and how outspoken. The whole Carlos Vela thing, which I still don't understand, which I'm sure we discussed. But it was all leading up to a game where we're like, after, you know, when on Friday, we're like, okay, we still have a game, and it's already a lot of different types of news. And you can say that Mexican press and we like to kind of stir up the pot and try to get news out there. But what Tata Martino and kind of Adriana said, right? It's this discipline that he wants to keep on. It's this transparency that I like, that I see from Tata Martino, and kind of just answering the questions as is. I don't remember a press conference lasting that long with right before a game with Israel Marquez, the head of the press, kind of like in shock because Tata Martino was just answering and he kept going deep. So I've already
calling out the pitch and being angry about
that's right. Calling out the pitch and the people, the some Soccer United marketing going, what? Like, it was kind of explosive in a sense. But it's very como ordenado. It wasn't like he was going crazy. Like, I felt like Piojo would have done the same thing and it would have gone crazy. Like, he was just calm, and this is how I felt. So hopefully we can see. Now we hear that Tecatito, you know, now the Porto news are coming out that, no, we did tell the medical staff. So there's definitely something there where you're just like, okay, what's the problem? But hopefully you can put that behind us. And then obviously the game came. Starting 11, when we looked at it, we saw Chaka – you know, on it, people were like, okay, I'm done. Carlos Rodriguez, Alvarez kind of in that defensive mid. But Cesar, to you, when we look at starting 11 or anyone, you know, when you saw that, did it remind you of like, okay, here we go. What, you know, how are you feeling when you first saw it? Or you were just kind of like, all right, we'll see what he does.
I think something that needs to be talked about is, and I don't know if other fans feel the same way, but when I looked at the starting 11, what stood out to me was just like, oh, like look at that left-hand side. You got Lozano, you got Guardado working right behind him right there, and then up top you got Jimenez. And that was a thing that I like stood out to me the most, and I was most thrilled by it. And I think that, I mean, going back to the whole Pizarro and Carlos Rodriguez situation, it's interesting that by the end of the match, those were the two players that I was talking about the most. It wasn't Jimenez, it wasn't Chucky, it wasn't Guardado. So I think also if we want to focus on something that perhaps I disliked from the match, I think Chucky could have also been a little bit better. Jimenez, I don't know. I'm not going to say that he had a bad game. Obviously, he scored the goal off the penalty, and I think he had some good passes. But I do think that it was interesting that going into the match, those are the three players that stood out the most to me, that I was most excited to see how they would work together. But by the end of the match, I mean, look at the starting 11. It was just the Carlos Rodriguez and Pizarro show. So I think that's what kind of stands out to me when I look at the starting 11. I mean, defensively, I'm still not. I wasn't that really thrilled, I guess, by the performance. I think Moreno. I gave him a high rating off my player ratings, but I'm saying that I gave him a high rating because he had that crucial clearance, and then obviously he got the goal. So you can't overlook those opportunities he had right there for Mexico. But he still I don't look that convincing. You had, who else in the start? You had Salcedo just looked a little off. Xhaka, I don't know.
I don't think he did horrible. Like,
yeah, but he's not
bad. Like Chaka was amazing. Like Carlos Rodriguez was definitely the key in Pizarro, but I don't think Chaka did that bad. Look at what Chile's players.
But the difference with Xhaka is Xhaka has to win over not win over thought, but win over those skeptics, because I feel like if you think of a starting right back, you don't think of Xhaka. I think Xhaka still needs to win people over. I think Xhaka, in order to maintain that relevance to all three, I think he needs to step up his game. If you're, as opposed to someone like Guardado had an off game, and I'm like, that's fine. That's okay, because I know he's capable of doing more. I know that he's capable of having a very key role for L3. I think with Xhaka, it's a little bit different because he has to prove himself a little bit more. So didn't say I don't think he was terrible. At the same time, he's got to up his game a little bit if he wants to fight for a key role for Mexico.
I think one of the things that I keep hearing is, oh, well, he wasn't as good. He, his clearances or I just feel, look at the team that he was going against. And people still think that Chile isn't Chile that 2-3 years ago, but it's a very good Chile. And granted that they didn't get to score in the first half, which I think they could have. You're putting in Chaka, who people don't like, against Chile, and he didn't do bad. He did his job. He wasn't amazing. He didn't, take over as a defender, but I don't see any other defenders that did. I mean, you look at Gallardo, you look at Salcedo and Moreno. I think they all kind of did okay. It wasn't like one person did more, better than everybody else. So I feel Chaka gets kind of thrown in there for being Chaka. By the way, it's like Chaka, Chucky, Charlie, Chica,
Chicharito.
It's like I'm going in there, and I think I was talking to somebody that didn't know that. Wait, Chucky, Chaka, like what are these names? But anyway, Gotti, you're a big Chaka hater. I mean, I saw that you kind of on your tweet right before.
I'm not a Chaka hater, and I know people who go for Tigres. They respect him. He's been consistent Liga MX, domestic league. I just think some players are built for more domestic league, and they have the opportunity to play with a selección.
But this is the opportunity.
God, he's like, stay in your lane.
Two games. You have to understand that there was 2 games, and I think Tata Martino already planned the 2 games in the starting 11. We're not seeing, I think that's where he's like, all right, I'm going to see everybody, and I'm not going to. I'm sure Layun probably has that spot, but I think it needed to be in there. So, sorry.
But I think if get it, because I was like, he's gonna start Layun, but he started Xhaka. If we're going to that, like, oh, might as well let Xhaka get some minutes, then why did we call the best right back currently in the domestic league, which I'm gonna sound biased, but it's Fernando Navarro, obviously, I'm not getting mad. I'm just like, everybody that says like,
where was Fernando Navarro last season?
Okay, the point is,
I'm a León fan, Cari.
The point is, to me, Xhaka left.
The point is, Alexis Vega should be starting.
I don't know. Cari has.
Shaka just left. Be like.
Really quick. Cari and Alexis Vega is, very biased. So anything comes out, Vega.
Okay. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Vega and Cari.
Watch out.
Okay, to me, Xhaka, I think if I had to put on my scale 1 to 10, he did like a 6.57. To me, it wasn't very convincing.
That's pretty good.
That's a D. That's passing.
Oh, dude, that's 65.
Okay, well, let me lower my scale. A 5. A 5.
I think I gave him a 6 on my rating.
No, I think
no, Patty, we're sticking at 6.5.
okay, 6.5. Anyways, to me, I think what was frustrating me is that there was so much space, so much opportunity on that side that she could have taken advantage of and could not put a ball through. It was very hard. So that's why. That's my whole thing. I think honestly I thought Brizuela would have started over Pizarro. I honestly thought he did. That would have happened, but with Pizarro, I saw Pizarro in the lineup. I was like, okay, great. And I think in contrast to what Cesar was saying, I really was pissed about Pizarro not making World Cup because I thought he deserved it. I thought Osorio was being unfair, and he decided to take Gio instead of Pizarro. So I think last night he definitely proved that giving him the opportunity, giving him the minutes, he will work, and he has done the work, and he, showcased a great game. So I agree with the defense. I think I didn't expect Moreno to start, honestly, just because of the lack of minutes that he has had. But obviously his experience.
I didn't expect
go ahead.
Like Reyes tomorrow. Apparently, to some of the reporters over there, that they leaked the starting lineup for tomorrow.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did.
Diego Reyes will be starting, so that's kind of surprising as well.
That's
I
a
mean,
surprise.
I didn't even expect him to be in the call-up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Me
I mean,
either.
apparently it's going to be Reyes with Araujo, Layun, and Jorge Sanchez, which I'm guessing Layun's going to play on the right side and Jorge Sanchez on the left, right?
I mean, it could be the other way. I mean,
or it could be the other way around.
Jorge
Sanchez on the
Sanchez
right,
could-
Layun
yeah.
on the left.
It could be the way around. I actually saw it the other way around, but I mean, think. And then he would have Eric Gutierrez, Gallito, and
And Dos Santos.
Jonathan Rodriguez on the midfield, Lainez, Chicharito, and Alvarado. So I like the forward.
She went through a tunnel.
She went through a tunnel.
Okay,
Oh
good.
no, she's good.
even though she's already parked.
Really?
So,
Tunnel
so I don't know. I don't know. I think I like more the Chile starting lineup than this one.
Really quick, the Mexican national team, the English account, or I think the other account also are having a competition. If you can, if you can predict the starting 11, the starting 11 has already been leaked. So go ahead and put that on Twitter and send it to them. So hopefully you're able to win something. I was honestly going to do that, and then I go, oh wait a second, I want to win whatever. I think it's a jersey, it's a brand new jersey. So there you go.
Could you still win if you copied the tweet from all the other like the leaked lineups? If you just copied and pasted every single person who
You
leaked.
just screenshot it, and that's what you put as your answer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And then you just put down adult medium or something like that, and just
Let's go. Let's jump into Pizarro. How obviously we've seen the talent that we've had in Chivas, and then that weird, season, and now where he's playing, and the space that was given. I think definitely one of the best players out there. It felt like I was surprised to see that Pizarro play in the national team, or in the way that he played. But then I go back, I'm like, well, I'm not surprised, because this is who we all kind of wanted to see, kind of what Kari said in the national team. I gotta say, Cesar and I were at the mix zone, and we're looking at Pizarro, and we're like, man, we keep thinking these players are all small. Cesar and I, we're pretty around the same size, and we see Pizarro,
I'm 5'2".
Pizarro and how big he's. I'm sorry, but the guy's put on 20 pounds worth of muscle in the last 6 months, because I don't remember seeing him that way. But the guy looks, I mean, not only obviously his Prince of Persia hair and look, but he looks pretty commanding out there. And it's good to see, because we're looking at a player, we're like, wow, this is a player we wanted to go to Europe. And if you start getting on these good list of coaches, we're going to see a lot more of him. And good, because now we have competition.
No, it is good. And I think you think a lot at this point of the national team, where you think about the mentality of a player heading into the Gold Cup, because you would have to look too far into the past to find a national team that has players which really don't look that confident, or really don't look that motivated in the Gold Cup, and then they end up losing to Jamaica in the semis, or then they end up needing Guardado to carry them through with a bunch of penalties. So I think when you think about a player like Pizarro, once again, I'm basing this off just one game. Who knows? He can come off. come on as a sub in tomorrow's game and like score an own goal or something. I don't know, but but just based off that one match, I mean, I think I was just very, very impressed with the energy and the drive of the player, regardless of the fact that he did finish with assist and what a well-earned assist it was when he stole the ball. But I think just the energy they showed out there is just something that shouldn't be overlooked. So I think that Pizarro, I think he's made a good case for himself. The only question I have with Pizarro is, all right, so if Tata uses his 4-3-3 going forward, if Pizarro did very, very well as that right wing, can he surpass the likes of a Tecatito? I mean, I know Tecatito's situation is a little difficult. Can you surpass the likes of a Vela? Can you surpass the likes of but let's say, or like, I mean, Lozano could even play on that side as well. Lainez could even play on that side as well. Because I think when I think of Mexico's 4 best wingers, those are the 4 names I think of: Vela, Tecatito, Chucky, and Lainez. I don't think that Pizarro breaks into those top 4. Maybe he's a little bit more as an attack-minded midfielder.
Is it better than Lainez? I mean, Lainez is better than. I mean, I know Lainez is because he's young and he's doing that, but I still feel that Pizarro has done more than Lainez to deserve at least a 3rd spot.
I think when we're looking towards the future, we're looking towards World Cup, and we consider the ceiling of Lainez. I would give Lainez more opportunity, and also because he's proving himself in La Liga right now. Yeah. I mean, so I think you got to continue giving those opportunities. So I was very impressed with Pizarro, but at the same time, is if Tata's going to continue with this 4-3-3. And if he continues to want to have Pizarro as a winger, is Pizarro even going to get any minutes past some of the top wingers you already have? That's the question I have, yeah.
I think what's interesting about Pizarro, though, was at the post-game press conference, Tata Martino actually said that if he had Vela, he wouldn't have put Pizarro. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Vela situation because it's not that big of a deal to me, but
it's a big deal, Amy.
It's not a big jumping off.
I don't think it's a big deal, just because I think right now everybody's focused on Tecatito, Vela, this. It's just, let's just talk about the players that are here and that aren't playing. You know,
let's talk about
very political answer.
I'm serious, because look, if we go back to the Tecatito thing, I honestly, if I was Tecatito, I understand the commitment of showing up and whatnot. But if I'm injured, why would I want to?
You take a petty picture on Instagram and you're like, "Look, see, I'm injured. I swear to you, with this finger wrapped around my
pity me.
I know a lot of people were like, he's got the Champions League, which is on April 9th. He's got plenty of time. 2, he can come, and I think this is where I'm a little confused. And this is kind of, I know the drama or whatever. If he said, hey, why don't you come over here, recover, come through the charlas. I want to get the team going. I want to give him my vision. Just come and, fly back.
No call, no show.
Right? And it's like, no, I'm not going to. Okay, fine. This is what I want. I'm a little confused that he didn't call Vela because if he was like, Tecatito, fly out here so you can sit down in our conversations and we can meet face to face, and then I'm out, Vela. Now I don't want to call him. He still haven't given a reason as to why. He said he talked to him twice and he's like, I decided not to call him, which I don't want to put a conspiracy out there, but if we're seeing a team like Chepo de la Torres, like Nestor de la Torre, those types of de la Torres, kind of firm and it's very rule-like type of atmosphere. Carlos Vela said no during that tenure. So wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Vela anytime soon.
If he doesn't go in the summer, then okay, it's a big deal.
No, I'm saying right now,
like
throwing it out there. I know you don't want to.
I mean, you saw they had a game on Saturday, and obviously he was very influential during that match. I don't know. I wouldn't. I just don't see the need to like speculate so much right now.
I'm not speculating, but one of our best players is not in the national team. They're not saying why.
For friendly.
Because he's the Messi of LAFC.
For the first game that we need before the Gold Cup, it's a story.
I would say I'm gonna go. Oh, sorry. Go
Gold Cup isn't giving us anything anymore. I mean, I don't know, because of the Gold Cup, it doesn't grant us anything anymore. We can't go to the Confederations Cup anymore. It's just like a tournament that's going to turn into something worthless, I think, after a while. So if you want to stay with your club, you're starting off. You're just star player. I really don't. I don't mind Vela not coming, as long as he just keeps it that way. I don't want him to come now and then say, okay, the qualifiers are coming up, then I want to play for the national team. If you can make the national team right now, great, then just fight for a spot. But you're not. You can't just say yes whenever on the team. That's it. So,
but I don't think
I agree with
I don't think it's. I just don't
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
that it's the way it was before, where he's like, I don't feel like going. Or,
No, it was.
I think that there's a different mentality to him. I don't know that okay, he didn't show up, but he's not like he's doing well with his club. He wants to be in
an hour and a half away.
I'm gonna agree 60%, 65% with Amy, and then 35% with Weasel though, because we
whatever. I still win. Just
it's a D
because once again he's just starting a season with LAFC. LAFC right now had like the best MLS team right now. They're killing it, and obviously Vela is a very, very crucial player. He's got like 3 goals or 2 assists in 4 games. But at the same time, and we talked about this at the press conference, like if Tata made that big deal about Tecatito not being there for the process, if he made that big deal, just be like, yeah, even though he's injured, it would have been nice to kind of like get to know the guy, kind of like have him be here for the process. Then why isn't it the same situation with Vela as well? And I think
about favoritism, like they're not meeting with the same,
Oh, sorry.
That's just a question. I just don't like, if we're going through this transparency, it doesn't make sense. So I'm like, just say it. You know what? Vela wants to focus on his club right now. That's it. Okay, focus on your club. Come out and say it. And then obviously, yeah, everyone's going to kill Vela. Why do you have to focus on your club? You're only an hour and a half or 2 hours away. Or,
it all depends on traffic.
15-minute flight with your helicopter.
It took me 3 hours to get back on Saturday.
Right. So I get it. So
guys, the 405 gets really heavy sometimes.
All right. Okay, cool. Now we're done with that. Let's go back into the game. I kind of tweeted this out, but to me, the game kind of felt like if we switch the role and Mexico plays against Holanda, Brazil, England, France, those World Cup winning teams where we are doing really great in the first half, right? And then we come out swinging. And what like Chile did, Chile was probably the better team in the first half. Ochoa with amazing saves, and Chile, I'm like they're gonna score, come out the first half, and Chile come out swinging one more time, and then all of a sudden, Mexico scores 3 goals in 13 minutes, and it could have been 4 goals. I mean, I was there tweeting the goal. And here I am putting a GIF, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they scored again. And here I go, I'm preparing my tweet, and they scored again, and it felt so fast there at the stadium. And then it came back, and then Chile came back to dominate the game once more, and they were able to score. Then substitutions and all that came out, but I almost felt like Chile was Mexico playing against Brazil, and then the talent from those really good players, and we're looking at Chucky Lozano, we're looking at Moreno, and we're looking at Raúl Jiménez's penalty was what kind of won the game. Like those, como dicen en español, individuales, right? Like they're the ones that the talent that won the games. And I was like, wow, for the very first time, we played like a big team, and this is how big teams win. Granted, I don't want to get carried away with it, but that's how I felt because
we're winning the World Cup. Yeah,
here we go. Let's do this. No. But it kind of felt like that watching the game and analyzing it. And I watched the game again, and I'm like, man, I know people are saying on the chat, Chile didn't make the World Cup, Chile, but I looked at the way Chile was playing, and they're playing good football.
No, you can see even Arturo Vidal was out there. Like he was injured a couple of our players. That he was definitely
he was provoking everybody. He was provoking.
Yeah, but that's how he is. He's that rudo player. We've always known that from him.
Yeah, it's just like they like let him slide through a lot. And then I told my dad, I was like, I just can't stand Vidal. He's like, you know what? Me either, but that man he's everywhere. He's everywhere. He'll come back and defend. He'll go in the midfield. He's like everywhere. My dad's like, I think call him like siete pulmones. Like he has 7 lungs. Like this man is consistently on the field everywhere. But yeah, I mean, I don't like Vidal, but I mean, he did his thing. I think what Chile was missing was on the wing, Jean Meneses, which I thought he would start and he didn't. Mm-hmm. And then obviously Nico Castillo with his goal. So I thought Mexico first half, like I told you, it was very physical. They were like kind of sitting back. Second half, I think they pressed a lot. And like you were saying with the individuales that they had, I think they did a really great job of taking advantage and countering. I mean, we saw Chucky on the counterattack. Like when Chucky's on a counterattack, it's just a deadly counterattack. Like you can just expect anything. And the goal was the golazo. So it was great. It was great to see a Mexico more composed second half. Because I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, we played really good first half. No, but we didn't play bad. It was just kind of like they were kind of easing, kind of feeling the opponent a little bit, and kind of getting a hand of like, okay, where are they at? And like you said, they scored 3 goals in 13 minutes. I mean, they were just pressing really high, moving forward, pushing forward, and players like Pizarro, like Charlie. I mean, everybody's, obviously Pizarro had a great game, but Charlie also had a great game. He's one of those players that is like under the radar. He's underrated, and I think he's done great with Monterrey. So I think it's a player that will definitely shine. And I mean, he's 22, so good.
Yeah. And I think really quickly, I mean, going off Charlie Rodriguez, I think something that kind of like stood out to me was during the press conference. I didn't get a chance to listen to most of the post game press conference because I was still like working on the player ratings. But it seemed like Tata did say that just like that Charlie Rodriguez like plays like a 30-year-old, so why not start him? So I think that was also a very, very impressive comment right there from Tata regarding someone like Charlie Rodriguez.
I definitely saw a different team come out the second half. After we were, when you saw that Mexico was kind of taking advantage and move things around, and I kind of want to say where we saw the experience that Tata has and the teams that he's coached, and I thought the players responded well to what he wanted to change and what happened in the second half. It felt like this wasn't the very first time, and I get it. These players have played all together, but putting in Chaka and putting in Charlie and Pizarro, it's a different team that played, but it felt like that team has played before when they came back out in the second half.
Yeah, and especially since, like I said, like one of my biggest complaints was in that first half that things look a little disjointed. It looked like the chemistry is a little off in the midfield. And I know someone brought up in the chat, yeah, Ochoa had a couple key saves there. Mexico could have easily allowed a goal or two there in the first half, so it could have been an entirely different match. So to see Mexico bounce back like that, and this would have been kind of one of those situations you always kind of wonder, like, what a manager says during a halftime talk, or maybe perhaps what a player says during a halftime talk. But I think this would have been one of those situations. It would have been very, very fascinating in Tata's first game and his first opportunity with Mexico to see what he would have said there in the second half, because clearly they look like an entirely different side. And it was also interesting too. Our good buddy Tom Marshall of this podcast, he did. I don't know if he sent it out in the tweet or if he put it out in an article, but he did mention too that something that he liked, and that's something that I liked as well, was that Tata could have easily made some immediate changes at halftime, kind of mixed things up, maybe brought off some players off the bench, but he stuck with his starting 11 for a little bit longer, and it paid off. It really, really paid off, as we mentioned. Mexico got those 3 goals very, very quickly, and they just looked like the far superior side by the end there. I mean, obviously, he did end up making those changes. He ended up making 5 of them, if I remember correctly, but not a single one was made until after the 70th minute. So I think that was pretty cool to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar in tomorrow's game, and maybe if he kind of gives that starting 11 an opportunity of their own, and at the very least 70 minutes to really prove themselves out there.
I almost felt like Charlie Rodriguez in the halftime was kind of told, play like Hector Herrera, like take command of that. It almost felt like Gallito Vázquez at the sense where he was on point with all his passes, and just how posed he was and wasn't afraid to make those runs and then take the ball and command going forward. Like, and I kind of saw that going forward, and I think that's why everyone was so expressed. Charlie, like, wow, he came on. People that say that when they put on the shirt, it might be a little too big. Like, to him, it fit perfectly the national team, and we saw that. Who knows? We could all be exaggerating. It could be a one-game kind of thing, but I definitely like to see that. Raul Jimenez scoring from a PK when we saw it, again, Hector Moreno with a header, which we've seen Hector Moreno, and has it's kind of not surprising the fact that he keeps scoring. I think he's got more goals with his dad in Europe than he does, because he seems to be there. And then Chucky Lozano, a golazo, and I know that we use golazo everywhere, but chipping it right over, just it felt like when you see him play at PSV, you're kind of like, oh yeah, he does that all the time, but we're seeing it now with the national team, which is kind of cool. Amy, to you, as far as the subs, you got Eddie Gutierrez, Chicharito Hernandez, Diego Lainez, Luis Montes, and ultimately Mr. Miguel Ayun. Anything regarding those players that are coming in, or as far as did you see, for example, Diego Lainez kind of starting to already see how he is? Anyone that kind of stood out to you?
Actually, I was pretty surprised. I mean, I think it was off a deflection, wasn't it? And then they didn't even call it as a goal. But I was surprised to see Chicharito like score. I don't know. Maybe he's just happy because he got married and stuff. Different factors.
Yeah, what was that about? Did anybody see a replay? Because it was hard to from the press box. I didn't see exactly what happened there. It kind of happened in a flash.
Offside.
It took a long time. It took like a really long time because even they were still celebrating. It was really and then the game just kind of ended right after, didn't it? Or like a few minutes later.
When I'm looking at highlights, they show the 4 goals, but it says 3-1. Like I went to I don't think anybody knows what happened because what they're saying is I think it was an offsides, but they didn't tell the players or anyone. So everyone was kind of like still celebrating. I mean, I kept the tweet. I went down to go to the press box and then I go, wait, it's 3-1? I thought Chicharito scored.
I thought it was an offside. I mean, it wasn't really clear, but that's the version I went with. I was like, oh, it's an offside. I don't know where, but it seemed like an offside because there was no. I mean, I didn't see anybody kick anybody. I didn't even see anybody push anybody. It just seemed weird. Yeah, it was a weird call.
So
and it should have been that you hit it like with his shoulder blade or something. So it's very Chicharito-like.
Typical Chicharito, right? Like,
yeah.
What a week that would have been for him too. Like to get married and score a goal in the same week. That would have been pretty crazy if that would have happened.
No way.
Whoa.
I'm getting into the other news network that I run called 3MZ. 3MZ. The whole getting married thing. The whole getting married thing. It was really, really odd. Here's 2 hours. Go to Chile Vista and get married. Probably about some kind of visa issues with his wife or something happening. So it's kind of odd that all of a sudden they would do that. So I'm sure there's news to come. And yeah, he came out saying, yeah, there's nothing to hide.
Go figure.
Get married after Univision got a picture of them.
That was also really strange to witness in real time. Like, I was like, oh, hey, by the way, Chicharito got married. All I hear is, it's like, oh, yeah, he got married here, and here. I was like, Lisa, how do you know all this stuff so fast? It was really...
Because we still got invited, and he told Cheech, like, sorry, man, I can't make the trip down to Chula Vista. I'm sorry, dude.
I was already saying Chula Vista is so far away. I wasn't even going to go to the practice. Screw the wedding. Well, hey, it's everything's on public record. You have to... Come on, Amy. You have to verify twice. You got that, and then I'm like, all right, there's got to be a marriage license somewhere, and all right, let it go. Okay, let's chat. Talk about Paraguay coming up. A game where 2 months ago we were like, "Ooh, Juan Carlos Osorio, here we go." Be kind of interesting. Drama's there. Well, he, rain on our parade. He's not going to be there, obviously. But Paraguay, a team where it isn't the Paraguay that we used to see in the early, in the late 2000s, that type of Paraguay. What can we expect? Adriana, I kind of go to you. Hopefully you're somewhere where we can hear you okay, because I know that you're going through wind tunnel. But as far as obviously the lineup has been already leaked, but what do you expect more than the results, right? Hopefully a win. But for you, what do you want to see in this last game?
Well, obviously, I think many of us are going to be probably looking at Lainez. He's getting he's going to be in the starting lineup, apparently, again, with Alvarado and Chicharito. So that's a pretty young, the forwards are really, really young. I mean, you have Chicharito there. I think it's a much more difficult lineup for Martino to coach because Eric Gutierrez hasn't had a really good season with PSV. Lainez, I don't doubt how good he is, but I do think that maybe the pressure could get the best out of him. Jonathan Dos Santos, no problem there. Alvarado probably not having the best of seasons with Cruz Azul either. So I think you have several players that are kind of doubtful regarding their performances. Layun will be there. I mean, we know he's one of the more experienced players, but still not his best form with Monterrey. Diego Reyes not getting many minutes with Leganés already, and Jorge Sanchez, one of the younger players as well on the defense. So I do think it's going to be a bit more difficult for Martina to coach this team because it does seem a lot younger than the one against Chile, but still expecting lots of good things about Lainez. He actually spoke about Lainez's future with the national team today in the press conference, and he said he doesn't really know if he's going to call him up for the Gold Cup, if he's going to play for the U20 World Cup. So I think it's probably Lainez's best shot at showing what he can do, and then the decision will come through because Tata Martino also said no one's going to win a call-up for the Gold Cup or the next game only because of what they do in 90 minutes. But in the case of Lainez, seeing as though he's playing a couple of generations over his age, it might be his best shot at actually showing Tata what he could do at the Gold Cup or not.
What do you guys think? I'd love to ask you guys. How many of you on the camp that Lainez should go to the U20, to the Olympics and stay the U20 camps and all that and wait for the national team and not go to the Gold Cup? Raise your hand. Adriana, I can't see your hand.
Everybody else raise your hand.
Wait, for Lainez to go to the U20?
Yes, don't go to the Gold Cup. Stay U20, stay.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand, damn it.
I feel like I'm raising both my hands now.
Adriana, what do you say?
I'm leaning towards the U20 World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, don't.
I'd rather him win the gold boot or the golden ball or whatever at the U20 World Cup than not doing as much during the Gold Cup and just, I don't know, being beaten by Jamaica or Costa Rica or something. I really do think he could do a lot better in the U20 World Cup.
And he'll get a guaranteeing starring role with the U20.
Let him be a big fish in a small pond. I'm not doubting the fact that he can be a big fish in a big pond, but let him actually just be a big fish in a small pond for the time being.
Let him enjoy the small pond.
Yeah.
I think pretty importantly too, just because the U20 World Cup starts before the Gold Cup, that means he can have like a true preseason once he goes back to Spain. And I feel like it'd be nice to have him, to see him like go through a full preseason before starting another European tournament. And because the U20 World Cup starts in like May 20 something, so he could therefore have a little bit of time to get back and relax, maybe even take a little bit of a break before starting his new season. And I think that, I don't know, I am a little worried that maybe if he was to go to the Gold Cup, maybe he doesn't even have a starting role. Maybe he doesn't even get that many minutes. And then he doesn't. And because there's no guarantee that he's going to be a starter for Mexico during the Gold Cup. And then if he returns to Spain without having a true preseason, I don't know if that'll be worth it. So I think the U20 World Cup is better in my opinion. But I can see why people would want him also to go to the Gold Cup because I mean he continues to exceed expectations.
I mean, yeah, Adriana and I talked about it a few weeks ago. Like, there's a part of me that's like, if he goes to the Gold Cup and then like scores a goal, like that completely contradicts everything that I'm saying right now. And I don't doubt the fact that he could do that. I'm just saying, I think I'd enjoy to see him with the younger squad and just see what he's capable of doing there.
The only thing is, sorry, Kari. The only thing is apparently of what Real Betis could decide, because Diego Ramirez wants to have like a small concentration camp before the World Cup, and if he does that, he'll want the players to be available like at least a couple of weeks before that World Cup, and it depends on whether Betis is willing to loan Diego Lainez for those 2 weeks, and they'll probably be playing the last games to decide whether or not they'll be in the Europa League. Their last season game is against Real Madrid. So I think it might also be a matter of fact of actually asking Betis, hey, would you be willing to loan Lainez for the U20 World Cup like a couple weeks before that? And if they're not, then ask Diego Ramirez, hey, would you actually be willing to put him in the starting lineup, knowing that maybe the other players wouldn't agree that he wasn't there before, or I don't know, it could generate a bit of controversy with the other players. And if that happens, then okay, just send him to the Gold Cup. But I do think it's going to be...
If he's called for it, they have to release him for it because
but they want to have him earlier than that.
Earlier than that, okay. To me, I would go. I stay with U20. There would be plenty of time. I mean, for him to get to the national team, and even if we're like, well, we can have him sub in and do great. I think take that. I love what you said, Amy. Big fish in a small pond. What I don't want to see at the U20 World Cup though is Lainez just kind of like, I'm taking this whole team. I kind of saw it in what last tournament that he was in. I'm trying to figure out that it was like
Lainez. It might have been the CONCACAF qualifier for that tournament.
I was like, I felt like this team would have done better if Lainez wasn't there because everything went to him and like he was just trying way too hard. So hopefully, U20 is one of the hardest, youth tournaments in this World Cup. Mexico doesn't do as well as we've seen that before. So I think it's actually going to be great competition for him. These are players that when we look at that, U20 type of World Cup, like are way larger, way bigger. Mexico struggles in that category compared to the U17s or anything younger. So I think it's great competition for him. Almost, I'm sorry to say, but almost even better than the Gold Cup competition that we're going to see. So
I
up to
agree.
maybe the
Agreed.
final to the final, okay. But those games that we have, granted, I think Diego Lainez is going to get more experience trying to play against players that you don't normally see, especially it's a World Cup from all different conferences. So that's the type of players that we want him to face. So I'm sticking with the U20.
And can you just imagine like Linus playing with Macias? I mean, we have to look at the other players, but I think Jonathan Gonzalez is also in that generation. So I don't know. I'd be really psyched to see all that younger generation together, because it does seem that they have a really big potential to make it through to, I don't know, quarterfinals, semifinals, depending on how they do. But I'm really excited to see that particular generation, maybe even more than the U22.
So we want him to be terrible tomorrow, is what we want to happen. just fine if you're hearing this. Just be terrible, fake an injury. I don't know. That's just what you got to do, dude. Don't worry.
All right, let's go into prediction. What happens? I'm pretty sure everyone from the last show I had 2-1 going into. I felt like Mexico would be better than it was 3-1. I think everyone had Mexico winning. Or I believe so. I mean, I think maybe Tom there was a tie, but
1-1, yeah.
Yeah, he had a tie. Let's hear your predictions. What happens tomorrow? And so we'll start with Miss Cari, and then we'll go Cesar, Amy, Adriana, and I'll end it with my prediction. Eduardo Dueñas already says 3-0 Mexico, so thank you.
Well, the first game I said 2-1, so Mexico winning 3-1. So this game, I mean, it's going to be a Paraguay. It's more of a defensive Paraguay. I think they lost 1-0 to Peru. So I think I'm going to go with a 2-0 Mexico. That's my prediction for tomorrow. 2-0 Mexico.
I think Paraguay still shouldn't be taken lightly. I think some of those players are still pretty good out there, like Miguel Almiron. I mean, we know about Bruno Valdez, Hector Villalba. I think those are some decent players out there. I think I'm still not that convinced by some of these options as a starting 11. I'm not sure how that midfield is going to work out. Who knows how that front line is going to work, or the defense. I mean, I think I have a lot of question marks over the starting 11. So I'm going to go with a tough 1-1 draw.
Dang it.
I'll go with 1-1 draw.
I mean, you could have picked yourself to go first. You're the one that made the order. Like,
I even went like this, so watch the video. I won't. Go ahead.
That's it. I was like looking around. That's it. Sometimes I talk. I don't even look at the camera. I like think and look everywhere. Yeah.
All right, Amy.
I'll go with the same result as the first one. I'm gonna go 3-1.
Whoa,
okay, so completely different. Everything's gonna work.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like perfect, but I still think they'll get some goals in. So. Okay,
Adriana.
I'm actually going to say 2-2 only because it's different than the 1-1. I think Paraguay's going to be tougher. And as I said, I think it's going to be a bit tougher on this particular lineup because it does seem a lot younger, a little bit more inexperienced, especially in the attack and the midfield. So, I think I'll go with 2-2 only because you guys already said 1-1.
I think what questions me in the midfield is just Guti, because when we saw him subbing in the first game, it's like, oh, we subbed in Guti? Like, he didn't... I think, obviously, making subs disorientates the game. Yes. But I didn't like Guti. I think he just, disappeared. That's where we lost the ball a lot. So I question Guti. I question Dos Santos. Piojo Alvarado, I think, like Adriana has said, I mean, he has potential, definitely. So I think if we end up being down 1-0, let's say we are down 1-0 first half and we start second half. After that, I think we're gonna have to make subs. We're gonna have to take out Guti, take out Chicha if he doesn't, put someone else. And I'm not confident in Reyes, so I think that's my weakest spot with Reyes and Gudiño. Gudiño, to me, I think I don't like Gudiño. I'm sorry, I don't. I think
who do you just more?
I think he's overrated.
For Leon, is that the?
No. I just think Gudiño was overrated. I really do.
That didn't you?
Yarbrough should be.
You guys are so bad. No, I think Gudiño's overrated.
I'm not trying to sound biased, but
no, I'm not biased. I don't agree with Gudiño. I think he's.
But again,
overrated.
Alexis should start.
guys are terrible.
She's like, Kota should be in there.
No.
Oh, Kari, you jump right into it.
No, but I'm being serious. This is okay. Take out my Leon now. I'm not even.
I don't know about that.
Okay. I just don't. Okay, do you guys trust Gudiño? Would you take him to Qatar? Would you take Gudiño to Qatar? Serious question.
We're so far away from now.
I mean, are we going? If we're going vacation, I don't know. He could be like a good dude to hang out with. You know, just go around.
He could be Instagram. I think. Yeah.
No, but I think it also, in all seriousness, I think Ari does have a point. I mean, I think Gudiño.
Like when you look at it that way, it does seem like no, I probably wouldn't take Gudiño to Qatar, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, point well taken, Kari.
No. I think like Gudiño still has a lot to prove. I mean, I think a lot of the starting 11 has a lot to prove here in comparison to the original starting 11. But I think Gudiño, he still needs to prove that he is a part of that next generation of goalkeeping talent. Because even though Mexico, we could really use another young goalkeeper to really step up, I feel like it's still up in the air between him or maybe even someone like Lahoud. I want to see more from Lahoud. So I think Gudiño, this could be his opportunity to really showcase that he's capable once going to becoming part of that next generation. Because as of now, I'm still not entirely sure about Gudiño as well. So
it would be unfortunate for him not to have a good game.
Go ahead.
A bad week.
Go ahead, Kari. Who's the name you want to just spew out right now? I can see it in your mind. You want to say it. Go ahead. Who is it?
Sebastián Jurado.
There it is.
Sebastián Jurado.
There it is.
Why? Because if right now in the domestic league of Liga MX, who has been the best goalkeeper to this point?
Tell me now.
Jurado's been fantastic. I think Jurado does eventually deserve an opportunity with El3, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a little too.
It's too early.
No, I don't know. I guess if it's like a year down the line and Lahoud is still struggling and Gudiño's still struggling, maybe be like, all right, cool.
How old is Jurado?
Jurado,
let him have some really amazing Pan American games. He'll go to the Olympics next year, and then we can just give him the chance to be in the national team. This is what we
go back to. Since Jurado's playing in Veracruz, he's not taken serious, obviously, right?
No.
On the contrary, I think that's what makes him more serious because he's had the worst team in the entire league, and despite that, he's saved them so many times. Yeah. I think actually that's his best asset. I mean, he's done so well on the worst team possible. Imagine what would happen if he had actually had a good team. So on the contrary, I think actually I would only be worried for everything to be just happening this quickly. I mean, he just made his Liga MX debut last season.
Yeah.
So I want him so much in the national team that I'd be like, I'd want to take care of him mentally and not get all that pressure on him.
And I think that's where we're kind of going.
He's national team material.
I think that's where we're going. I mean, if you're looking at the matches he's had, it's like he just started. And he's in Veracruz. Granted, it's Veracruz, but it's just he'll get there.
Hopefully he'll switch teams.
I'm just saying, I think when we use these friendly call-ups, right? We try and get the best players that are currently in the domestic league. That's what we do. We're not going to take someone that's been on the bench, And obviously, if we go back to the Shaka thing, we know he's not going to be in there, but they're giving him an opportunity, blah, blah. So all I'm saying is that right now, and this does not relate to El Tri. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Right now, Jurado is better than Gudiño. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. I don't know. I think this season, yes, I would say that
in this season,
yeah. Show stay for the super hot take.
But I think at the very least, he is part of the conversation. It's not like Jurado's being overlooked. He's what with the U22s. He's part of the U22s right now, so he is part of the process.
And we have, and the thing is, when we look at, Charles going to definitely make it to Qatar, and I have my arguments on that, but we still need to look at the youth behind that. We have Sebastián Jurado. We have Acevedo, who to me it's a great goalie with Santos,
right?
Yeah, I agree great guy.
If we're looking at who's in form, Conejo Perez is doing well.
I said Conejo to this past World Cup. No one listened to me.
I'm just telling you, it's not necessarily who's doing the best right now, because otherwise you're going to start putting in other. Anyways, well, that is el cuento de nunca acabar. That's it.
Jurado's in the picture though, because I think eventually he'll get a chance. But like Adriana said, I also don't want to rush it too much with him. But I think that down the line, if Gudiño doesn't do well with El Tri, if Lahoud, he has his capabilities of becoming a little bit of an inconsistent player. So maybe if that doesn't work out, then yeah, I think Jurado will definitely be given his opportunity. But I think, yeah, he's in the picture though. He's he's with the U22s. I don't think he's being overlooked just yet, but maybe down the line, yeah.
He'll play Pan American Games, Olympic Games, and then he'll be all set to play the qualifiers for the World Cup, Gary.
Yeah.
I really do think he has a really big shot at doing that. Like if he keeps it up as he has like this far, he'll do really well. But let's just keep him. We don't have this kind of talent in every position, guy. We have to take care of it.
Well, look, I think what I'm looking at is just like the depth that we do have for the next 4 years. You know, we have lots of depth in the midfield with, you know, youngsters that we see in a domestic league, like Pablo Lopez. We have Cordova. You know, we have all these great youngsters. So I'm just saying, okay, let's not call them up for Gold Cup. Yes, you know, I'm not being crazy either, but I'm just saying there's a lot of youth coming up to be considerate, you know, to take consideration and take serious, because we see Linus. How old is Linus? And we already want to, you know, put him in the Gold Cup, you know, like obviously Gold Cup, whatever, you know, but you know what I'm saying? Like Linus has a potential. When he plays, he plays fearlessly. A él no le pesa la camiseta. He plays how he is. So I don't know, guys. I'm hyped up. Okay.
That's why I was saying I'm actually really like more psyched about like the younger generations. There's another guy, I think it's in Pachuca, Roberto de la Rosa. He plays really well. I mean, I mean, you start looking at these names and start to look at some of their highlights, because it's really difficult to follow the U20 league games. But I mean, there's really good talent there. It's just a matter of actually giving it a chance and just making the entire process go through, which is something that we've been missing for years.
Oh, yeah, that is always a big question. So it's like, oh, we have all this exciting young talent. It's like these guys won the blah, 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 blah tournament, but then how do we properly transition in this talented youth over to the seniors?
Yeah, like the Toulon generation, like Linus's generation. That's the one.
You're fine. We've never not had
it's in the bag.
The 5th game of the Gold Cup. It's going to be great.
Quinto partido with Jurado on goal.
Generation thing. I don't ever see that being a problem. Like when the U17s won the World Cup, we're like, they're going to transition well, and they did. I mean, some of them, you know, might not ended where we wanted it, but they're there. Or you know, the other.
They did not transition well. I just read a story that Marco Bueno is playing in Finland. How is that transitioning well?
I was talking about Gio and Moreno and Vela.
Half that team is retired already.
But they did well. They transitioned well. And at the end of their career, they might have sucked, but they transitioned.
But they sucked like at 26. That's terrible. I mean, they should suck like when they're like 36.
At least we're seeing more youngsters. I don't know. I feel like we have a good generation of youngsters that are starting to come up. And
we need an entire show on the new generations.
For real, I'm down. Whatever happened to La Momia? Remember, what's his name?
Oh,
he's
like
playing not the Ascenso. It's the Segunda División. It's like third División. He's playing. No, he's not in Ascenso. He's one division lower than that. It's La Segunda División Premier, and he's playing for Loros de Colima.
Oh no!
Oh yes.
In the purgatory of Mexican soccer.
I mean, if you really want to know a lost kid, it's Pericueta, but we can blame Tuca for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Dude, we were hyped and now we're sad. Thanks, guys.
That was your fault, sis.
Thanks.
What?
If I'm going to put the blame on you,
I think that was also the clubs, the ones that are ruining the generations. Once they get to the national teams, I think it'll be okay. Okay. Really quick, I want to make a plug. Cesar,
Julio.
Tom Marshall, and also Mr. John Arnold, guys. They have a new podcast that you guys should all definitely get in touch and listen to. It is a great podcast. It's one topic. They're going to do it once a month. Cesar, tell us a little bit about it and encourage everyone and give us the name. We're all definitely excited, especially on that type of podcast that you're having once a month. What is it? Tell us.
Yeah, so it's called the Mexican Onda, Mexican Wave. Credit to John Arnold for thinking of that name. Just a little bit just a deeper dive on one big topic. It's all still a work in progress. We're still kind of trying to fine tune it, seeing what exactly we're going to do with it. But if you guys want to check it out, actually, we just I think our episodes are now on Spotify now. Woo! And it's also, I'm not sure if it's on iTunes just yet, but just Mexican Onda, the Mexican Wave, but Onda, once again, shout out to John Arnold, but we'll see how that progresses. I'm pretty excited for that one. It's not going to be like a weekly thing like the Mexican Soccer Show. It's going to be, obviously the Mexican Soccer Show will be like every single Monday, but with this one, it's going to be a little bit more of a deeper dive on one big topic. And I don't know what the next one's going to be. So if you guys have any suggestions, send them over. The first one's on Raul Jimenez. So, but send them over.
The next generation.
The next generation of Mexican players.
I am down for that.
PlayStation console.
We lost
Definitely,
you
I'm very
there.
excited, especially listening from the podcast that you guys had, countdown to Russia, and how it was one big topic or several topics that you went in, and the research that you guys did. So I'm definitely very excited. Continuing with the network of podcasts that we all kind of do here in the L3Ang. I know you guys that listen to us, like the Eagle Eye podcast and the Sholos and all these types of podcasts that are coming out. We're all definitely very excited. But I think we all like to turn around and see the experts, and Tom, Cesar, and John, who are at the games, who are at Liga MX games, who know players. I mean, Tom can just call up some, on his WhatsApp, know some players, or get this, or he's traveling with the team. I don't think you're going to get one that a podcast that goes in depth and with the knowledge like these guys. And so awesome to definitely be a part of the network. Our 3N podcast network that we have here with the Mexican Soccer Show, Food Mex Nation, and then also, I know Adriana, Amy, and Kari that you were part of it before, and our football podcast. Really want a quick plug. It's going to be at the end of the week, and I'm sure you're going to be talking all about the Paraguay game and all of that. So I'll let you and Amy and Adriana kind of plug that and get those listeners listening to the our football podcasts.
Yeah, if you want to keep hearing my voice, which God bless you, Adriana and I are going to go ahead and be talking on Thursday. We haven't done our Liga MX Femenil cleanse that we like to have, talking to each other about that. So we'll definitely pick that up this week. And of course, like we still said, we'll probably talk about the Paraguay game too.
There you go. Cool. So good to see. And we'll continue with the Mexican Soccer Show every Monday. There's a million topics. We go into it. Someone on the chat said, where's Tom Marshall so he can put like some, calm everybody down.
We kicked him out. He might
be at a sporting event right now. I'm not.
We hear Tom Marshall's at a hockey game, so I'll throw it out there. So
he would have voted for Linus to go to the Gold Cup, so that's why he's not here.
Oh yeah, he's super pro Gold Cup.
Yeah, we voted him off the island, the Mexican Soccer Show island.
Don't worry, Tom will be here. He couldn't go tonight. Tomorrow's the game. So Amy in Santa Clara there. I know. Please follow all of the content that is coming out there with Mex Nation, Cesar, and obviously the Athletic there, ESPN, and also ESPN during game days. Adriana, who is working all of the time there at ESPN, and love to have her on the chat and all the things that are coming out from Mexico there at ESPN. And then also Kari there with her video and her predictions there with Food Mex Nation, and all the things that she does also in our whole tweets. So there's a great community, and we appreciate all of you guys and all the hard work that you all do. Continuing, we have the Patreon still, guys. Take a look at it. We'll post a little bit more about it. I know it's time for us to go, but thank you for those that have already contributed and given us a little bit. There might be some news coming out to where you can listen to the Mexican Soccer Show in more places. I know we've definitely heard your voice, Spotify, or obviously we have it in iTunes. We're looking at SoundCloud, just really branching out where you can listen to this podcast. And that way you can have it in different places, and we can reach out there. So I want to thank you all. Amy has a question.
I have more of a statement.
Okay.
We're not girls, we're women. To whoever commented, girls
Yes.
that like sports or girls that like football. We're not girls, we're women. By the way, with that being said, go ahead and watch the Our Football podcast on Thursday.
I'm definitely a boy though.
Women that like football. I feel like women. I'm gonna call it ladies. I would go with ladies. I feel like that's more proper. I don't want to say women.
It's another hour conversation you and I are gonna have again.
I don't know. Just women for me sounds like you're 65. All right, Mexican Soccer Show every Monday, 7 p.m. Thank you so much for all of you guys listening and all of the different people that are still chatting. I think we haven't had this many chats. And many people chatting right now. So thank you very much for listening to all of us. We'll see what happens with Mexico and Tata Martina. We'll be on the next episode next Monday. Hasta luego. Thank you, Adriana, for not crashing.
Thank you, Mexico City traffic officials.
De nada.